SHALAM. This is Officer Yahanna of Atlanta, I.S.U.P.K. And we teach in the Monday night history class. We're going to bring up a little bit about this Memorial Day. All right, we're going to do that in a minute. First off, are there any questions at all? So let me turn my volume down up here. There we go. Just get loaded up with everything so I can see any questions at all. Yahweh Yadai, can you mind reading the scriptures for me?
Alright.
Son of Christ. Okay. Got the comments for that. And I want to change that to the other account. Alright, you got any questions at all out? You might got any questions? No questions at all? Alright. Okay. And the apostle might have sent you a link, okay? Oh, wait, matter of fact, I might send it to you, Yahweh. I'll send it to Yahweh, because he on here. I'm going to send you some links. It's going to come from a different number, all right, Doc?
Oh.
Because I'm sending it from my phone. I'm sorry, sending it from my this app I have on here. All right. 706. Okay. All right. That's the first article, Yahweh. Now you get it?
Oh.
All right, pull that up. All right, just have that on tap for me. All right. Okay. And all right, let's go ahead. All right, do anybody know what's the history, what everybody, the known history of Memorial Day? We can get a little bit of basic background. I'm about to send you this link.
About me.
Go ahead.
Come, sir. Well, first off, Yahanna with that.
Sounds good.
Duty. The history of Memorial Day was actually because of Israelite, a sister. She wanted to honor the dead, and I believe they had a way to bury the dead and to memorialize them and all that. And the devil saw that, and they felt ashamed. They said, "Now we should be doing that," and then they just took it for themselves, and they made it their day.
I mean, yeah, that's true, because everything is done by Israel. You know what I'm saying? Everything is done by us. Nothing is really done by Esau, our oppressor. Everything is done by Israel. But I mean, what's the known history of Memorial Day? What's the known that everybody knows about? Go ahead.
Okay, not necessarily barbecue, but the part that, it's waving the flag, waving the American flag, shooting fireworks, thinking about the dead American soldiers who died throughout the wars, like World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, Korean War.
So the known history is that America loves their soldiers, right? This is a day for their soldiers. So everybody thinks that Memorial Day, it was set up by good oppressors, right? To go and say, you know what, we go, they say that we need to have a day to memorialize, to have a memorial for these soldiers that died in our wars, right? That, that sounds like a patriotic thing, right? That sounds like America, right? But just like everything our oppressor has taught us, is just a lie, right? Everything that they taught us, they told us that we were, Africans, you know what I'm saying? You was taught that you was Negroes, Spics. You was taught that, they told all of the people that was over, the Hispanics, that they pretty much killed all of their ancestors, right? And there was none left but just, it was just oppressor children. So now they made it bad to be from their actual country, to be a native. They said, okay, it's bad, but we killed everybody, so we just killed all the men and laid with the women, so everybody here is Spaniards now. So, and that's what they tell our people. That's what they tell us, because they're lying, because they don't want anything bad to look upon them. They want what basically our oppressor wants. They want to do whatever they want to do and not have it come back on them. They're terrified of that judgment. Matter of fact, give me that part where Cain, when he said that in Genesis, where he said that you people's gonna find him and slay him. Find that for me, Yahweh. Find that for me real quick. Let me know when you got it, all right? So just like Cain, they don't want to be punished. They're scared of punishment. They don't want to be looked bad upon. That's why they've become the best at what's called like marketing today, right? They know how to market and make things look good. And they go out to America, they go out to these other countries, like America is like the stable, right? The stable here. It's like, like America, they purport itself like this is where everybody should be. You should be free like America, right? Also, what's the brother name? Azar? Give me where it says in Revelations about America being a whore that sits on many waters. Get that for me, all right, Azar? All right, go ahead.
I got the scripture in Genesis chapter 4.
Okay, read it for me.
This is the book of Genesis chapter 4, verse 14. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Wow.
So, like, he's crying. This man just literally killed his brother. He just did it. There has been no time went by to try to make, somebody forget, like, a couple hundred years, like they do on Memorial Day. It hasn't been a couple hundred years or none of that. It's just been a little while. So they want us to always forget. You know what I mean? They don't want us to remember. They don't want us to know what's going on. All right? Go ahead with that, Azar. Azar, you got it?
It's Revelation 17, 17, 16 and 17. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, talk with me, saying unto me, Come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sit upon many waters.
It's showing the judgment of the whore that sits on many waters. That's talking about America. That's talking about its military force. So this could be taken in a couple. Different stances, right? It's taken by this military might, because what America does, it sits all of its, bases all over on different places, right? They have their bases in Vietnam. My parents actually were stationed in North or South Korea, right? They were stationed over there for a period of time. That's where they met each other, right? They were stationed over there. So they're the whore that sits on many waters, right? And here's the thing, like, people don't even understand, a lot of people don't really understand the word, why it says the whore that sits on many waters, right? Because what does America do to the earth? Explain that to me. It has a reference to a whore. Anybody can answer that. What does America do? Go ahead, Napas.
They have a thing called manifest destiny.
Yeah, that's true, but that's more in reference to when they came over and they said if you weren't a Christian, they could come and kill you. That's more so on that. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Because the reason they use that word whore in that sense is because, if you know anything about America, America do all type of business with all other nations across the planet, you know what I'm saying? And doing that type of business, you know what I'm saying, those other nations, you know what I'm saying, find themselves doing things, the Americans, the so-called American way, you know what I'm saying, whoring themselves out to America, and America whoring themselves out to the other nations, you know what I'm saying, on trying to get up and come up on whatever they're trying to get up and come up on. So like y'all don't.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's not what I'm looking for. But this is another way you can put it. But that's a very good answer, because they make everybody become a whore to them, right? But here's another part that America does. I was talking to the person I worked for or whatnot in my slavery. I was talking to him. I just asked him a quick question. He's Elam. I had to had to deal with him, had to ride with him in the car for whatever reason, right? Any rate, I just asked him a question. I was just like, what is it like when women from India come over here? And you know what he said? He was like, America poisons the women. If you ask any culture, because let's be real, most cultures do not raise their women to be whores, right? Except for Esau. Now, of course, you got your some African parts, like in Egypt, you know what I'm saying? You got certain parts where they did that, right? But just as a standard, they would do their whoredom, what they would do, but it wasn't justified. They didn't want the women to be whores. The men that wanted the women, they didn't want whores to marry necessarily, except for our oppressor, right? So what does the oppressor do? He makes our women whores.
Right.
So he's the whore. That's the whore. That's also the sits on many waters. Because now, when any woman comes over here, what does she automatically become? They call it Americanized, right?
Right.
Americanized. That's basically another word for saying she becomes a whore. She don't want to listen to her man no more, right? She don't want to do what he says to do. She want to do whatever else that that America affords her. Basically, now her All right, hold on one second. Hold your peace 1 second. So basically now her husband is no longer the man that lays in the bed with her. It's the American government. See what I'm saying? That's another way that people, it becomes the whore that sits on many waters. Go ahead, up.
So like y'all the one, if I may, what you just said is so heavy, you know what I'm saying? Like a piggyback off of it, you know what I'm talking about? You know, the people, you know, that come over here and, you know, they wanna, you know, move to America and be a part of this American culture, you know what I'm saying? Their gods really can't be nothing. They have to be absolutely, you know, vain and, you know, filled with vanity, because if you come to America and can throw away your God, you know what I'm saying, or from wherever you are, you know what I'm saying, and then join on to the customs of America, then your God really ain't shit, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, because the Most High, you know what I'm saying, in His infinite wisdom gave us laws, but our laws was taken from us. Our mind was watched and gave us this American, this American, you know, philosophy. You know what I'm saying? We were brainwashed into this. But these other nations, you know what I'm saying, they still have their culture, they still have their gods, they still have their political systems and all that's going on. But yet and still, they'll throw all that away, you know what I'm saying, just to become whatever they want to become over here in America. You know what I'm talking about? They'll throw all of it in the trash, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot.
Yep, and that's biblical. It's like that's who all of these nations have to be in bed with America to prosper. All of them, they have to be in bed with America to prosper, to get to where they want to be. You try to have independence. See what happened to Saddam Hussein, right? Try to have independence. You try to have what was that dude, Gaddafi? You got to be in bed with America, right? That's how you know he's the snake in the garden. He's the evil one. He's the great deceiver, right? That's just how he operates. He's the snake in the garden. That's how he operates. He's that snake. He's Cain. And he does it at a thing that's so sad about it. He's not even man enough to deal with the consequences of it. He wants to still escape. He want to escape his punishment that he got coming from. Where the Most High say he saw he's going to be the only nation. That's the only nation that the Most High say he's going to completely and utterly destroy. He's getting rid of all of them. There's not going to be one left of the seed of Esau. Somebody said Salakia? What's with that? Okay, what's on Christ? So that's basically that was kind of what I wanted to bring out too on that part. Anybody else got any questions at all on that? All right, Yahanna, get that to me, the one that the Wikipedia one.
This is Memorial Day from Wikipedia. Memorial Day, originally known as Decoration Day, is a federal holiday in the United States for honoring and mourning the military personnel who have died in the performance of their military duties.
Keep going.
The holiday is observed on the last Monday of May. The holiday was observed on May 30th. Excuse me. The holiday was observed on May 30th from 1868 to 1970.
Okay. Now, you're going to see the next line here. It's going to tell you a little bit about the black history of it. Because, you know, Wikipedia is easily editable, right? So people could go in and just edit and add things on here. That's why it comes in what it says. Read that part.
On May 1st, 1865, in Charleston, South Carolina, formerly enslaved African Americans honored hundreds of black soldiers who were killed in the Civil War and buried in a mass grave.
Ain't that like the our oppressor? They just kill them. They don't even have. They want to talk about memorial, right? But they don't even. We can't even be in the grave. They just say, you know what? Just, you know what I'm saying? Let's just put them all in one grave. It's cheap and efficient. They ain't worth being buried like, you know, like they was worth something, right? We're not gonna put them up. You ain't gonna make memorials of them like they did. Like, you know, they got Mount Rushmore. You know what I'm saying? Like even how Captain Katazar said in what he said one time before. He said that, you know, they'll put their face in a mountain, but we go to jail for graffiti, right?
Right.
That's Captain Katazar said this, right? And they'll go memorialize all of these people, but if we try to do it, it's always an issue, right? Keep going.
Calm. They unearthed the bodies and gave each a proper burial and held a parade in the soldiers' honor.
So think about this, what these people did. Like you could tell, if you look at it, it's an insert, as you could tell, because like how it's kind of broken up, right? You could tell they just inserted it. But anyway, they had to go, they went, it was just a mass grave, right? So they pretty much just get a backhoe and dig a big hole, right? And they just say, you just gonna lay their bodies in there, right? We ain't gonna give them their own plot of land where we can memorialize them. We just gonna throw them in there. So now these men had to go in the, in basically, filth, because this is dead bodies. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But because we loved each other so much at this time, that was worth it to do. It's worth it to honor these people that died, because at some point, they was fighting in the Civil War, right? They're supposed to be fighting for black people, right?
Right.
Now, of course, they may have been misguided trying to fight alongside their oppressors, but they was trying to do the right thing. Even in our evil, black people try to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? We try to do the right thing. We say, you know what? They did fight for us. At least we could do. They died. We at least put them in a proper burial, right? We can at least do that. It's not hard to do. Take a little collection. You know what I'm saying? Bury these men like in honor. They used to do, if somebody died, like, that was like idolater or whatever, they would just throw them in the earth somewhere. They would do something like similar to a mass grave to them that was a sinner, right? That did something evil that could cause evil to happen in Israel. That's what they did to them. These men, they just went and fought, right? And then they can't even honor them for their sacrifice of their life. That just shows you what the type of oppressor we got, man. They fought alongside other oppressors. Anybody ever hear that story about in Tulsa, Oklahoma, right? When they was doing the riots. You know what I'm saying? They was doing the riots, right? And while they was doing it, one man, he stood up in his uniform. He was like a World War I veteran or something, right? He stood out in his uniform and put it on, got it all nice and pressed, got his name tag, got all the ribbons on there, right? He sat out in front on his porch. And he said, surely these devils are not going to kill somebody that served in their military. They going to have enough respect for me, right? They going to have enough respect for somebody that fought and died for their war, in their war. Guess what they did? Anybody can guess what they did to him? What happened to that man? Go ahead.
Take my guess. They killed him.
Exactly. They killed him too. They don't have respect for you to serve their country. They don't want you to serve like they want you to serve them serving. They want you to be expendable rodents.
Right.
Like you don't give, like, we know when they test things out or whatever, like, when they test cures for things, like, we know, say like they test, like, we got the vaccine out, right?
Right.
When they do the test on like rodents and stuff like that.
Right.
You just vermin.
Right.
But do the rats ever get any type of respect or honor for the rats that die?
Nope.
Exactly. That's how they look at us. We don't get the respect of honor that when we die like they're lab rats. Somebody says Salagia.
Salakia, sir. Back when we coming back from war, our people, we were getting lynched right in our fresh military suits. There was a lot of streets with us, even back in the cities, and people say New York wasn't racist, but they had like a whole bunch of brothers being, lining up the streets on the light posts,
Yep. Mm-hmm. That was the draft riots. Yep. Somebody say something?
If I may.
Go ahead.
What you just brought out is so heavy, you know what I'm saying? How that man came out in his World War II, you know what I'm saying, uniform, you know what I'm saying? He had to be a young man to go through that. I got a precept, if I may, Otto.
What is it first? Hold on a second. What is it first?
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 50.
All right, go ahead.
Come on. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, we shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I don't think he was young. I think he was an older person. Maybe not. I mean, I don't think he was like in his 20s. He was probably from what I read. If I remember correctly, he was roughly probably about 35 or up. So that's still young in some sense, but he wasn't like 20. You know what I mean? Because during this time in Tulsa, like, we were esteemed individuals. You know what I mean? We had pride because look at what we had built, right? Look at what we had built. We had pride at this time, right? So he thought that they wouldn't do anything to him. But then just to show, because he wanted to be friends with his oppressor, basically. He fought alongside of him, so he thought, they're going to love me like, when I fought on side of them. Because, a lot of times the Klan members, they're big. They love the military, right? They love police, right? You look at all of the stuff right now, how they say, how when they came out, well, not that we support this organization in any way, but you notice when we came out with Black Lives Matter, right? What's the first thing they said? Blue Lives Matter. What does that have to do with this boy bleeding out his head that didn't have a weapon? They left him with his backside hanging out. They didn't even have the decency to cover him the hell up, right? Left him just sitting on there with blood draining out of his skull and just left him there for hours. That's what they do to us. They want you to be afraid. They want you to, they know that trauma is like, it gets imprinted onto your DNA. They know this, right? So they want to traumatize you just like how they did in slavery. They can't, they technically, because, the world we live in, it'll be very difficult for them to put us back in slavery again, right? And they'll keep a clean image. That's what they want. They want to keep the clean. It's not that they don't want to put us back in slavery. Don't get it twisted. They just don't want to. They got to keep that clean image, and they know it's too much. It's too easy for it to go everywhere else, and America loses its culture. Its ability to be above all the other nations, to feel like it's above. To feel like it's above all nations. That's the only reason why they're not trying to put us in chains. In literal chains at least. They're putting us in, spiritual and spiritual and mental chains. That's how they'll rather do it. So the people that person is a slave won't even know that they're in slavery. They think they're free, right? It's like they do with our women. Our women, don't want to be whores because they woke up and they said they want to be whores. They want to be whores because America tells them to be a whore. That's mental slavery. That's mental brainwashing, right? You want to say that?
Yeah, they also put us in financial chains with the stop Asian hate. Something happened to the Africans. They will say stop African hate. And whatever other nation besides the blacks, Spanish, American Indians, they'll say they'll put a bill to pass the anti-bill hate. That's another way. That's another way of slavery. That's a financial slavery.
Yeah, they keep us in financial slavery because we can't, like, you go over to Gwinnett County, everything is in scribble scrabble. Everything over there is all Chinese, Korean, all of that over there. You can't read nothing, none of the signs over there unless it says, you know, Steak and Shake or McDonald's. The rest of that stuff over there, you can't even read it.
Right.
They own pretty much Gwinnett County, right? So, just to make it simple, like, but then you see how, like even the brother said, they came out with a bill to protect them, but nothing to protect them from us. What you about to say?
Oh yeah, I got a question online from
Okay.
Sister Kapa Banaski Yahanna from Texas, Austin, Texas.
Go ahead.
She said, Shalom, sir, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get a breakdown on what the Most High means when he says he's not a respecter of persons?
I respect your persons. Okay. All right. Okay, trying to get it on here. Okay. Anybody think they know this at all? Mm-hmm. All right. Go to all right, go 1 second, go to Acts chapter 10.
Yeah, Shalom, yeah.
Go all right,
So
yeah, in the
it's
part.
10:34.
Yeah, 10:34, yep. All right, what you about to say, y'all?
Salaki out of one. I had a precept for that Acts chapter 10 verse 34.
All right, what you got?
If I may. Proverbs chapter 28 verse 21. To have respect of person is not good. For a piece of bread, that man will transgress. Salaki.
All right, let's go to that. You said Proverbs what?
That would be Proverbs chapter 28 verse 21.
Okay. 20 and 21. Let's get it. Okay. Okay. I'll break down briefly what a respecter of persons means. And I'll give you an example. Like, do y'all ever hear the story of when you know, when we had those brothers from, what was it, Boys to Men, and I think like one of the two from like one of the other rap groups, I can't think of the name of it. Remember when they came in here and they basically made, you know, certain brothers, they let them skip the trooper program. They didn't have to come in and be troopers. They skipped them ahead and made them higher. That's what respecter of persons is.
Oh,
That's like but everybody thinks it of, you know, can you hold this man? Like, it's like a Christian example. They think that because this man, like, all right, I'm trying to think of it. I ain't been a Christian in a while, so I'm trying to think about how we was taught. But like when you like a Christian, they say like, okay, this person being rich or whatever, which is all backwards as hell, because they all tell you that, you know, God blesses and makes you rich, right? But they say like this person, because you rich, you won't get into get into heaven, right? But the thing they don't understand, the rich person is already in heaven. So the whole concept of them being Christian doesn't make any sense, right? But respect of persons means God is not going to love this rich person and bring this rich person in to, just like when you go to, the beggar, right? I think it was Lazarus, if I'm not mistaken, but it was the beggar, right? He was in Abraham's bosom, right? And the rich man wasn't. And then the other story about the rich man, right? Remember how the rich man, I think he had the good old full purple on, right? The good full purple. Christ told him to get rid of everything he owned and follow me. He wouldn't do it. So that's why he said, let me go back to it. To have respect of persons is not good for a piece of bread that man will transgress. What does that bread signify? Go ahead.
Work or bread?
No.
No. It's
All right. I'll break it down for you. That bread is nourishment, right? Like God, he said, I will give you like the living water. This is the living, this is, what Chris tried to say, this like, your bread, your daily bread. I mean, these things are in the scriptures. But, Christians make everything homosexual. You know what I'm saying? But basically, they're giving you nourishment. So anything that help you get higher, which is nourishing, you need to have strength. You need, nourishment to keep going, right? For anything that nourishes him, that man will transgress. Because what he's doing is he's using that man because he has a respect of persons. See that the brothers that was letting those brothers get higher in the ranks and stuff like that didn't really deserve it. He had a respect of persons with them, right? Because what he was doing was they're his bread. You understand what I'm saying? That's his bread. So now that's his bread. What else can bread be determined as? If you Israel, what does bread mean? Go ahead.
money.
Exactly. They're his money. So now he's using them as his money to grow himself. That's how, he ended up getting his own little stuff. The brother here, then now, he's dead now. Right? He died of COVID last year. But he ended up getting this church. He had people paying double tithes. That's what he said. For a piece of bread, this man would transgress. And look what he did. So, you know what I'm saying? Anybody don't know, you probably ask me a different time. I'll break it down more about the story about what happened. But it's been told down to me and the generals. Go ahead.
General concept of water. If I'm not mistaken, this group, this fake Israelite group, they also accepted Edomites.
Yep.
And they, Edomite got money,
Uh-huh.
let them in. And they went to Africans, Hamites.
Yep.
They trying to recruit General Buck naked. It was, doing all types of foulness.
Yep.
If I may, in reverse, if I could use as a precept, Christ told, sell your things. This is Matthew 9:21. Right.
Hold on, let me get to it. 9:21. Go ahead.
Salaki, sir, 19 to 21.
Oh, 19.
Okay.
You can hardly even see nothing. 19, 21. I got glasses on, but they don't even work, really. Go ahead.
Matthew 19:21. Jesus said unto him, if thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me.
Yep, that's what Christ told him. He said, give everything you have and follow him. That's what all his disciples did. That's what the generals did who are similarly, that's what disciples in rank are. The generals, basically, right? That's what his generals did. They left everything and followed Commander General Yahanna, right? That's why they're generals. They left everything, left their possessions behind, right? That's why they're such respected to do this. And now they have a greater treasure in heaven because this man, he loved, you got to think, this is the same slavery that we were in, that we're in now, that we're in then. He had a great treasures in Rome. He was living deliciously. He was living good. That's why he said, for bread, right? For bread, that person will transgress. You say that? That's why you say another scripture too. Give me Matthew 6:24. Anybody let me know when somebody got it. Anybody got it yet? 6:24? Go ahead, read it for me.
Matthew 6:24.
Uh-huh.
No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. He cannot serve God and mammon.
You can't serve God and mammon. Mammon is for anybody that doesn't know, that's money. You gotta love one or hate the other. You gotta love one and hate the other, because if he gave up his money and he showed that he loved it, he's gonna forever hate Christ, right? Who is the image, who is in the image, or the like, I'm being careful of my words because I don't want to get it reserved as Christian, right? But Christ is the walking image of God, right? That we're going to see, right? He's what we're going to have. Just like right now we have Commander Yahanna. He's not God or the image of God in that sense, or even, but he's the. It's like you have people that has in rank, like Moses was at one point, right? He was like the closest thing. He was the leader of Israel. So you have those people that's his representation on earth. You had him, you had David at one point, those other brothers. You had different brothers that just was his representation. Joshua at one point, Abraham, that was his person, Noah, you know what I'm saying? Those were his people that were his walking representations, I guess you could say. They were his ambassadors, I guess you can call them. That's a good word. That was his ambassadors. Go ahead.
So like I want, if I make,
Go ahead.
I got a precept for what you're talking about right now.
All right.
Hebrews chapter 1 verse 3.
This probably be the last one because we got to get back on topic. Hebrews chapter 1 verse 3. Go ahead.
This is the book of Hebrews chapter 1 verse 3. Who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person, and upholding all things by the word of his power, when he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high.
There you go. That's Psalms are all up. Everything I just said. He's the walking representation of God. That's like I said, that's the one that we have. That's the express image that we're gonna see. That's of God. Now he's not God, of course. God made him, but he's like the how do you put it? He's like I said, he's the ambassador. He's the head ambassador. You know what I mean? General Yahanna is the ambassador that's here on earth right now of the Most High. So that's how that goes, really. You know what I mean? Sorry. Let's get back on topic. All right. Hopefully that answered the sister's question. Let me know, sis, if you still there, let me know if that answered your question good for you. All right? Any other questions out? Okay. Not right now. Let me look on Facebook. Alright.
Oh, so she said he did. Come.
Alright, Most High in Christ. Most High in Christ. Most High in Christ. Alright. Yeah, alright. Let's go ahead and get back on topic. We don't want to go too far, off. Okay. Memorial Day. Alright, keep reading that you had right there on the Wikipedia. I lost it. There you go. Go ahead. Uh-huh.
This memorial honoring black fallen soldiers is believed to have been the first Memorial Day before it later became recognized as a holiday.
Yeah. It's like you the salt of the earth, man. You make everything. People don't even understand that our contribution on earth, how great it's been. You know what I mean? They seeing you follow, honor your dead, and they say, well, yeah, that's not a good idea. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, keep reading.
Come on. Many people visit cemeteries and memorials on Memorial Day to honor and mourn those who died while serving in the U.S. military.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Many volunteers place an American flag on graves of military personnel in national cemeteries. Memorial Day is also considered the unofficial beginning of summer in the United States, while Labor Day, the first Monday of September, marks the unofficial start of autumn and the end of summer.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Come on. After the Charleston Memorial in 1865, many cities and individuals claim to have been the first to celebrate the event. In 1868, General John A. Logan of the Grand Army of the Republic called for a Decoration Day, which was widely celebrated. By 1890, every northern state had adopted it as a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
The World Wars turned it into a generalized day of remembrance instead of just for the Civil War.
Uh-huh.
In 1971, Congress standardized the holiday as Memorial Day and changed its observance.
So you see that? We changed the world with just how we celebrate our dead. Just like we changed the world with the Bible. Now everybody know how to bathe properly, right? Just think, we just changed the world from doing just by honoring our dead. We showed the heathen that they weren't doing it right. Keep reading.
Come. 2 other days celebrate those who have served or are serving in the U.S. military. Armed Forces Day, which is earlier in May, and an unofficial U.S. holiday for honoring those currently serving in the armed forces, and Veterans Day on November 11th, which honors those who have served in the United States Armed Forces.
Yeah, now they got to come up with their own so they can say that they did it, of course. Okay. Go to the part where it says proceedings in the South and go to Warrenton, Virginia.
Warrenton, Virginia. On June 3rd, 1861, Warrenton, Virginia was the location of the first Civil War soldier's grave ever to be decorated, according to a Richmond Times-Dispatch newspaper article in 1906. This decoration was for the funeral of the first soldier killed in action during the Civil War, John Quincy Marr, who died on June 1st, 1861, during a skirmish at Battle of Fairfax Courthouse in Virginia.
Okay. I said, go to the one that says Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston, South Carolina. On May 1st, 1865, in Charleston, South Carolina, recently freed African Americans held a parade of 10,000 people to honor 257 dead Union soldiers whose remains they had reburied from a mass grave in a Confederate prison camp. Historian David W. Black cites contemporary news reports of this incident in the Charleston Daily Courier and the New York Tribune. Although Black claimed that African Americans invented Memorial Day in Charleston, South Carolina in 2012, he stated in the New York Times article that he had no evidence that the event in Charleston effectively led to General Logan's call for the national holiday. Black said, I'm much more interested in the meaning that being conveyed in that incredible ritual than who's first.
So we created the ritual for it, but now they gotta say, well, there's no proof that we did it. Of course, right? It's always, well, we gotta have more proof. The man already done proved it. He already, if you can go look up what he did, he already proved it and studied it. But of course, when slaves do the work, it doesn't get noticed. Just like I remember one time, like when I first was coming into the truth, and I always saw how Egypt was always talked about as it was this great place that had inventors and medicine and all of this, right? I always raised the question, like, how do you know it wasn't Israel that really invented those things and had the medicine, right? How do you know it wasn't Israel? Just like how you know in America, all of the stuff that we've done, but nobody else knows that we've done in America, and we live in a modern society. But people don't know what we've done. You can go ask other countries of people. They don't know that the light bulb that they got in their house was invented by slaves here. They don't know that the stoplight was invented by slaves. They don't understand that how we put oil up our wheels and all of that, and the brakes and all of that stuff was done by slaves. They don't understand all these things was done by slaves over here in America. They just think of it as an American invention, just like how they think of it as Egypt. I always want to see if we could find proof that it was actually Israel that invented these things, but we was just slaves in Egypt, so they got the credit. So why wouldn't, if it happened in America, when we have the modern society where we got, mass production in books, all of this, why couldn't it happen where they didn't have mass production in books? Somebody said, Salagia?
I got a precept for what you just said, how they take credit for things and change it up to suit their own way of being. I don't know if I Daniel chapter 7, verse 25.
All right, go ahead.
The book of Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until the time and times and the dividing of times.
To me, I think the one I would probably use, that's one of them. To me, that I know of off of hand, I would use where they made merchandise of us, that scripture, and I would kind of more so use that because they made it to, like, Israel, everything Israel is done is made to be sold to bring more profit for those other countries, right? Because I think even like we were even like from what I heard before, I might have to go and look and do some more research on it. But I even heard that blacks, Israel was the first ninjas. and they going over in Japanese, and they the ones that make money off of it now. So, like, yeah, we were the first gladiators. We were the first everything, and every other culture makes money off of us now. We become merchandise, and then I will also use. They opened up the book of the law, and he painted in their images. So they took our stuff and put in our images. You know, they became us, for lack of a better term, because they knew how great of a people we were. Go ahead, Art.
Common concept, the water, 2 points if I may. You know, I just found out yesterday that George Washington Carver, you know, he's famous for peanuts and inventions related to peanuts. But in fact, and that's true, but also he invented plastic. You know, can you imagine? The brother invented plastic. That's in the cars, and it's in the houses and everywhere. He should be like a billionaire, and his kids rather have nothing.
Yeah, he's a billionaire. He should be a trillionaire. He invented plastic. I mean, hell, think about it. If Amazon, he's about a trillionaire. He invented peanut butter. Matter of fact, let me go look it up.
Salaki, sir, if I may.
Go ahead.
Now, on kind of second point, I want to bring out, if I may, the verse we're looking for is 2 Peter 2, 1 to 3. I think let's see, verse 2, and they make merchandise of us.
Yep. Read that for me then.
And on kind of 2 Peter 2, verse 3. And through covetousness they with vain words make merchandise of you, whose judgments now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not.
Okay. Yep, that's it right there. So that tells you in a nutshell that pretty much. I'm trying to find just like a list of certain things that he invented. See, I bet you if you was to look up what Einstein or something did, it would be a whole lot easier. But here they don't want him to really don't want to know what his inventions. I just want a list of inventions. I remember when I was younger, we had like a whole list of them. So I got a couple: flour, paste, insulation, paper, wallboard, wood stainless to stain your wood, soap, shaving cream, skin lotion. He made medicine, antiseptics, even laxatives. He made everything. And treatment for, I'm not sure what that is, boiling. So he made a bunch of just different inventions that everybody uses every day. And if you look at the inventions we made, why are we so poor? Why are we in the ghetto? We should be the richest nation in the earth. Right?
Right.
We should, but here's the reason. We're going to get into that. What time is it? 8:33? Let's start getting into some of the scriptures I have. Let me see. All right, let me get one of y'all to give me Tobit 1 and 17. Somebody give me that.
Come on.
All right, hold on. And all right. Somebody read Tobit for me real quick.
Come on. Tobit chapter 1 verse 17.
Uh-huh.
Am I close to the naked? And if I saw any of my nation dead or cast about the walls of Nineveh, I buried him.
Yep. So that's what he did. Whenever he seen his people, he went and he buried them because they was throwing them anywhere, right? That's how they regard our bodies. They just throw them anywhere. He went and buried them, gave them a proper burial. Keep reading.
Verse 18. And if the king Sennacherib had slain any when he was come and fled from Judea, I buried them privately, for in his wrath he killed many, but the bodies were not found when they were sought for of the king.
So, because he went and hid their bodies. He went and buried them. So he went to go, because people, when it comes to Israel, it's like they want to make us their experiment. They want to see how bad they can mutilate our bodies, right? So he went and, buried them. So now the king couldn't even find them. All right, give me, let me see here. I'm going to go to Ecclesiasticus first. All right. Somebody give me Ecclesiasticus 38, and somebody else give me Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 5. So, Yahanna, you give me Ecclesiasticus 38, and Isaiah, you give me Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 5. I'll tell you where to start on 38. Go ahead.
You want verse 16?
Yeah, I'm thinking about starting there, yeah. Yeah, go to 15, yep.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 38, verse 15. He that sinneth before his maker, let him fall into the hand of the physician.
That's if you go around sinning, you're gonna fall into the hands of your physician, your doctor, to see if he can fix you or not. Keep going.
Verse 16. My son, let tears fall down over the dead, and begin to lament as if thou hadst suffered great harm thyself, and then cover his body according to the custom, and neglect not his burial.
So let those tears fall, man. They've died. They deserve those tears. Your family members died. They deserve those tears, man. And they were great people. You know what I'm saying? They deserved that. They meant something to you. Let those tears go. Right? Lament. That means be sorrowful, right? As though you have suffered great harm yourself. You ain't supposed to be going around looking happy. Your mom or your father just passed, man. You ain't supposed to be happy.
Right.
Keep reading.
Verse 17. Weep bitterly and make great moan and use lamentation as he is worthy.
What does you see that? Weep bitterly and make great moan. Let it go. Let it out. For he is worthy. That person is worthy to do that, man. Keep reading.
And use lamentation as he is worthy.
Okay, you keep reading.
And that a day or two.
Do that a day or two. Do it a short time. Don't do it forever. Right? Do it a short time. Keep going.
Lest thou be evil spoken of, and then comfort thyself for thy heavy.
Comfort yourself, man. Go spend time around family, man. Go talk about them. Talk about how great this person was. How great he or she was. Talk about them. Comfort yourself, man. Keep reading.
Verse 18. For of heaviness come death, of heaviness cometh death,
Uh-huh.
and the heaviness of the heart breaketh strength.
So now this is where depression comes from, right? That's why depression. What is a depression? It's depression in the earth. It's something heavy, right? That's where heaviness, depression, these words are all similar, right? So if you weep too long, it's gonna bring death upon you. And the heaviness of your heart is gonna break your strength. Right? Keep going.
Come. Verse 19. In affliction also sorrow remaineth, and the life of the poor is the curse of the heart.
For affliction also sorrow remaineth. Right? Because you go afflict yourself. You're going to get really sick if you keep letting yourself getting depressed, right? And sorrow remaineth. And the life of the poor is the curse of the heart. Because you let yourself be in there, you're going to be poor. Doesn't necessarily mean poor as in necessarily money. It just means you're going to be poor as in you're in a poor state. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And we read number 20 for me.
Come. Verse 20. Take no heaviness to heart, drive it away, and remember the last end.
Remember the last end. You remember it all. You remember it, and you don't let it stick to your heart, because you got to get over it, right? Get me Napash. Get me shit. Give me Matthew 22 and 32 real quick. Napash, yeah.
Come.
Why don't God want you to, sit there and think about the dead too long? He wants you to remember them, but you don't want it to be set in your heart, right? Read that for me.
Come. The book of Matthew, chapter 22, verse 32. I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead.
He is not the God of the dead. He doesn't want you to be the man of the dead. He wants you to move on with your life. Keep going.
But of the living.
He's of the God of the living. Supposed to focus on living, right? Because you still got life. You still got work to do, right?
Work.
You gotta have men gonna take his place. You know what I mean? Stand up in where he failed. He passed away at, and you're gonna need to have people go in and take the place that he was. Of course, his legacy will still stay, right?
Work.
That he had, his legacy will still stay, but his position is going to be moved to the next brother on. All right, who was that that had Wisdom of Solomon? Get that from me.
Come. Wisdom of Solomon 14, verse 5. Nevertheless, thou wouldest not that the works of thy wisdom should be idle, and therefore do men commit their lives to a small piece of wood, and passing the rough sea in a weak vessel are saved.
It's talking about they commit their lives to a small piece of wood and pass in the rough sea in a weak vessel. Like they'll hold on to like a Jesus piece and going through a rough sea and like, oh, we got saved by this piece of wood or whatever the case is. For time's sake, I'm going to skip you ahead. Go to verse 8. Read that for me real quick.
Verse 8. But that which is made with hands is cursed, as well it as he that made it. He, because he made it, and it, because being corruptible, it was called God.
So it's saying the people that thing now that you made to call God is cursed. Now you are cursed because you the one that made it, and it's corruptible. You calling it God, right? Go to verse 14. Oh no, go to read 12 real quick.
Khan. 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them, the corruption of life.
So the devising of idols, that's the beginning of spiritual fornication. That was what Eve and Adam did, right? Adam and Eve, that's what they did. Spiritual fornication, right? And the invention of them is the corruption of life. That's what corrupted their life. Them knowing and learning about spiritual fornication. Now go to verse 15.
For a 15, for a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he have made an image of his child whom taken away, now honor him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices.
So they made sacrifices because this was a man that had an untimely passing of his son. So they started doing sacrifices, right? Spiritual sacrifice. Just like how, you know, black people, they'll still celebrate that person's birthday, all of that, right? They'll still, get them a whole cake and ice cream, and they're gone. They no longer here. They're in the ground. Still giving them ice cream. That's what the traditions. Keep reading.
Account 16. Thus, in process of time, an ungodly custom growing strong was kept as a law. Engraven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings.
So now, what would it would be? It would be somebody high and, name, what I'm saying, a king or something, because his son died suddenly with no warning. Now he starts making them, everybody else, keep this commandment and do this ritual in honor of his son, right? That died. It's become a law. It was kept as a law. And it was worshipped by the commandments of kings. They commanded people to worship these things. Keep going.
17. Whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off. They took the counterfeit of his visage from far, and made an express image of a king, whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent, as if he were present.
So then they start making wood and figurines of him, and start making as though he's present here. So because people there, they didn't have television and stuff like that, right? You didn't have, you can't go on YouTube at this time and do stuff. They would just go and make like a figurine of this person, and they would worship this person and do those rituals because, they might be born here in America, but they might be in another country somewhere. So they would have these idols and everything, right? And they would worship these idols. This is the beginning of idol worship. Just go to verse 27 for me.
27. For the worshiping of idols not to be named is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil.
That's the cause, the beginning, and the end of all evil. That's why you're not supposed to celebrate your birthday. You idolizing yourself.
Right.
That's why we don't celebrate birthdays here. Right? We don't have no special day we celebrate anybody. Right? The only person we celebrate is the Most High.
Right.
So, Passover, we celebrate how he brought us out of Egypt. What else? What else is the other ones? The one that, with the book of Esther. The book of Esther, how we got out of there. What was that?
Shalak is served about me. Wanted to know we could use the book of Esther, chapter 4 and 1, because Mordecai, Lord Mordecai, he went out to the streets and he ripped his clothes and he went in mourning in public for his people. You know what I mean? So since back then, we was memorializing our own people. Not just the dead ones, but the ones that are alive.
Yep, that's why, like Christians, they'll Christianize it, but that's why Christ wept. He seen his people but they supposed to be the greatest people on earth, and he was weeping because he seen the state that they were in, right? It's the same thing that he said Mordecai was. He was in the spirit of the Most High, right? He had the Holy Spirit, or what you would call it. He started weeping for his people. That's why anybody here at UPK, nobody at UPK doesn't weep for their people. That's the only reason why we came in here. If you couldn't come in here if you didn't like black people. It wouldn't work.
Right.
You'd have to go to one of them fake Israelite groups. We're all purple.
Right.
Look like you in the choir. You know what I'm saying? Put your choir robe on. That's how you would feel. But you that's why they don't really know what real love for black people is unless you're in the UPK, right?
Right.
I think that's about it on that. Go to 1 Timothy 4 and 10. Yahweh Yadai, give me 1 Timothy 4 and 10. And Azar, you give me Psalms 109. Chapter 109, verse 2. Read 1 Timothy when you got it for me.
The book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4, verse 10. For therefore we both labor and reproach, because we trust in the living God.
The living God. You see that? We trust in the living God. Uh-huh. Keep going.
Who is the Savior of all men, especially of those that believe.
Yep. That's what we trust in. We don't put our trust in idols. Right? We don't do that. We put our trust in the Most High. Right? And give me Psalms 109. We got to go through these last little precepts real quick. You got Psalms 109 for me?
Which verse, sir?
Verse 2.
Psalms 109 and 2. For the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are open against me. They have spoken against me with a lying tongue.
Hold on, let me get to the point on here. Go to verse 5.
Verse 5. And they have rewarded me evil for good and hatred for my love.
They have rewarded, this nation has rewarded black people hatred for their love, right? That's what they gave us, right? They rewarded me evil for good and hatred for my love. So we've shown love to them, and they've only shown us hatred. Just ask the Native American Indians. Ask blacks here that got brought here, right? Ask them. Keep going.
Verse 6. Set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand.
Sure, let them stand right there. All of their leaders are evil, are wicked men.
Right.
You had Trump, now you got Biden. People think that Biden is better. Biden gonna destroy this whole earth, man. He gonna destroy this whole planet. Some of his stuff that he's trying to do to make it seem like he's liberal, make it sound good to black people. He's getting ready, like he's starting. It's already started, but he's going to be a big proponent of starting World War III, which is what we want anyway. He angering off these the far right. He's pissing them off by all his laws that he's trying to set up. Right? They're wicked, man. They don't care about the country, really. They don't even care about the people in the country. They only care about themselves and the people that pay them. That's why you even go back to that scripture where it says, respecter of persons. They're a respecter of persons. So they only respect the people that pay them, who gives them their bread. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That's who they respect, the people that gives them their bread. They're lobbyists who pays them. That's who they give their respect to. That's how you can see they're a respecter of persons, right? Keep going.
Verse 7. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned.
So when he gonna get judged, he gonna be condemned. He ain't gonna come out of his judgment. He got life imprisonment. Keep going.
Let his prayer become sin.
His prayer, just to him to say, please help me, is gonna be a sin to the Most High. He ain't hearing it. Keep going.
Verse 8. Let his days be few, and let another take his office.
Let his days be few. They gonna start having short lives. They not gonna live as long anymore. They gonna let somebody else go take their office, who's gonna run it even farther down to the ground. All right. Let me see what else I want to say. Give me Exodus 3 and 15.
Exodus 3:15. And God said, moreover, unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, have sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations.
This was his memorial. He loves Israel, man. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to follow what the Most High wants you to do. That's your memorial service. You're supposed to memorize. You're supposed to keep it in your memory. This is what the Most High did, how He brought you out of Egypt, man. How He brought you out of the hands of all of the Canaanites, the Philistines. Brought us out of the hands of the Romans, the Greeks. Then the list goes on, right? How He brought us out of all of these different nations. How He brought us out of here. That's supposed to be your memorial. Get me Esther 9 and 28.
Esther 9:28. And that these days should be remembered and kept throughout every generation, every family, every province, and every city, and that these days of Purim should not fail from among the Jews, nor the memorial of them perish from the sea.
You should always remember these people, man. Just like how we remember the people that even died for America, right? You think that was a great death that those people did. These people, they did here, what we did in these times to establish our rulership, this was big. This was bigger than them fighting with alongside of their oppressor. Like I said, they didn't know any better. They weren't in the truth. The truth wasn't available to them, right? They didn't know any better. But you're not supposed to harm. You're not supposed to hate those brothers because they didn't know. What did Paul say? He wished himself to be accursed, so that he could he could bring his brothers in the truth. Anybody know what that scripture is for me real quick? I found it. Romans 9. Give me Romans 9 and 2. Read that when you got it.
The book of Romans chapter 9 verse 2. That I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart.
You read?
Verse 3. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh.
He wished himself to be a curse for his brothers and his kinsmen, so they could come into the truth, right? And with that, just give me wisdom of Solomon 4 and 11 too. Give me wisdom of Solomon. 4 and 1. Wisdom of Solomon 4 and 1. So it's better for you. He he loved Israel so much, he had that, you know, the same thing. He was weeping like Christ was, right? He wanted his people to be saved. He wanted them out of the captivity they went. He said, I wish I didn't even know the truth. I would give up the truth so that my brothers could get in the truth. All right? And read that last part when you got it.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4, verse 1. Better it is to have no children and to have virtue, for the memorial thereof is mortal, because it is known with God and with men.
It's better to have no children. It's literally better to have no children. Because people say, you know, your children is your legacy. No, your legacy is your virtue. Your legacy is what you can do, what you've done with your life. That's what your virtue is. It's better to have a great life that you live, right? And because it is known with God and men. Your children may not be known. You understand? And with that, pass the class over to, was there any questions? Anything? Anybody got any other questions before I close it out? Anybody got any questions?
The lock is, sir, if I may.
Go ahead.
I just want to say the water, sir, to WAP class, and thank the Most High for U.P.K. Bye.
All right, Most High in Christ. All right, and with that, pass the class over to Precinct Officer I.S.U.P.K.
Shalom, Israel. This is I.S.U.P.K.'s career announcements. We the I.S.U.P.K. started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Room for a new brother and sister. When the new brother and sister come to the school, they are limited for 6 months. They are here to be saluted only. They are here to set themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After the 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. That means anybody who's on, that means your captain or your captain leader. Tithes, which is a commandment. The book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. And the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 to 10. My Ishra, that means 10 in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offer for a priest not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you like to give. Next holy convocation is the Feast of First Fruits. They're going to be June 21st, before sundown. Now, if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black. Boot, shirt, pant, headband, or scarf. With that, Israel, we'll give one curse salute. Men Israel, give one curse salute. Men Israel. Amitem, Sabak, Amitem, Rock, Yahweh Bashem Yahshua Brakatham. What I said to you in the Hebrew, I'm going to translate to English. May the Most High, in the name of Christ, bless you. Yah Matah, mean hands down, class dismissed.